Hey everyone, Pupsker here. Today in Warframe, I wanted to talk about your girl, Wisp Prime. If you don't know, Wisp Prime is returning to the game via Prime Resurgence Relics in about 2 more days on Thursday, so hey, what a good time to go over her Warframe ability kit and my quick little mod setup. It's never anything too serious, but you know, judge it as you will later on. So Wisp is one of the better frames if you want to just be a strong, lazy gun platform frame. And ability frame, you kind of have to spam both. I'll show you what I mean by that though. Passive, flowing between dimensions, Wisp becomes invisible to enemies while in the air. So when you're jumping around, you're invisible. Really good survivability on her general kit, and she has more survivability than just this passive, but if you're ever jumping around, you're not going to be getting shot at, so you're probably going to be surviving pretty well. Either way, it's a pretty cool passive, not terrible. Her first ability is Reservoirs. This is an amazing ability. You plop down a little reservoir and it buffs you, okay? You either get buffed with max HP, speed, or you get AoE status shock. And the speed one is speed multiplier and fire rate. So she works similarly to Volt/Gauss in that sense if you want to think about it. And that's the nice part. You just swap between these, throw them on the ground. They last forever on the ground, but the ability does have a duration while it's on you. So just remember to run back to your reservoirs once in a while. Either way, huge boost. If you want a purely stat boost into strength, you can get really fast speed, but it does scale lower than something like Volt or Gauss, I believe, overall. But again, you get health regen, and also shock, so it also adds to your survivability, but you have to remember to swap between the motes. I have fused Reservoir on, which combines all 3 of the motes into one. Again, #1 lazy Warframe, strong as hell, love her. Your second ability is Will-O-Wisp. This is essentially a Shieldgate invulnerability ability. You can use it for teleportation and transportation, but what really matters on this ability, in my opinion, is the fact that you get 3 seconds of invulnerability. So you are functionally invincible as long as you remember to spam out your second ability every 3 seconds, which can be kind of a pain in the ass, which I'll talk about that later, right? But that's all you do. You shoot out your second ability, hold your second ability down, and it shoots the wisp out faster, and then you let go of it and you teleport to where the specter is. Or you tap on it and then it shoots out the specter, tap on it again, and then you teleport to the specter. Either way, use this to stay invincible. Really good ability. Your third ability is Breach Surge, so this is also insane for damage. It is a damage multiplier, status chance increase, and it blinds the enemies as well. So it's really good. The nice thing about Breach Surge is you use Breach Surge to teleport to a reservoir, and it doubles the range of Breach Surge, so it hits more people. That's why it's probably good to have a little bit of everything on Wisp. As you can see, I just like to throw on everything because, again, I'm like a jack-of-all-trades player. I just throw on general builds to play the game casually. I don't usually have specified builds, but hey, play however you want, right? So you can see the damage multiplier. Base is 2x with a 20% status chance increase. I have Critical Surge on, which means that I get a crit chance boost when I hit enemies, but we'll go over that in my mod build after, okay? And then finally, we have our fourth ability, Soulgate. This is the ability I would recommend you helmet off, if anything, on Wisp. You can replace it with anything like Roar. You can be pretty lazy, throw on Nourish, because, you know, you can't go wrong with viral damage boosting shenanigans, right? So throw on whatever you want here, and you're probably good to go. Just because this is one of the weaker abilities, because it's a held ability, you cannot shoot your guns while you are using this ability, and it shoots out fire radiation damage. Could be better, still not too bad though. There's a lot of tips and tricks, like 6 reservoirs are available at any time. 2 of the fused reservoirs, since there are like 3 of them together. Yeah. Only 1 of each mode is capable of attaching Whisper allies at any given time. Yeah. So, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Reset duration of mote by stepping on it. Cast Breach Surge Will-O-Wisp active to trigger another Breach Surge at its location. Oh yeah, that is true. You can chain Will-O-Wisp with Breach Surge because it sets off on your like little Will-O-Wisp. So I totally forgot about that. right? Increase Will-O-Wisp travel duration with distance with duration mods. Modes attached to Wisp after the power of Soul Gates. Vitality and Shock modes each increase damage by 25% each. Haste adds to corrosive status effect, right? So there's a lot of boosts that you don't even notice in the tips. Cast Will-O-Wisp while Soul Gate is active to draw enemies away from Wisp and allow the strategic repositioning of the beam. Attacking enemies while in the air makes Wisp visible again, regardless of her passive. Yeah, okay. Okay, totally forgot about that. So if you're still shooting in the air, you're not invisible. Increase Wisp movement speed while Soul Gate is active by dodging. Yeah, that is true. You can dodge while you use your 4th ability and hold it to do more damage, right? It's a really cool laser beam ability. So that is Wisp's overall kit with some tips and tricks, right? You have her first ability, which is just throwing down boosts, and that's really nice. You have her second ability, which you either shoot out a Wisp or you hold it, it goes faster, and then when you release, pops. You have your third ability, which is AoE, blind, damage, good boosting overall. And then you can double the distance by doing that. And you can also, boop, right, sends out at that location as well. So really good boost. That number there is the Will-O-Wisp duration, if you're wondering. And then your fourth ability, this is why it's kind of lame. So it's really cool because it shoots out side beams, but it is a weaker than shooting type of ability, but you can throw some statuses on. So yeah, if we want to quickly just throw down abilities to, enemies to get an idea of, that's not the right one, what's going on here, we can, let's just throw on Infested, right? Throw on boost, damage, they're already stunned, you hit them with that, and then they take a lot of damage here. You can use this and then boop. But as you can see, like I was saying, your fourth ability is not like insane damage. I would say she's a much better gun platformer than Soul Gate user, so up to you however you want to build her still, but I mean, like, Soul Gate's just not her strongest ability. If you're curious about Archon Shards, again, I'm pretty lazy, so I threw on ability strength and a little bit, nope, just ability strength. I didn't even bother throwing on ability duration, right? Because I don't have a really high strength build, I just didn't bother with it. You might want to do a higher strength build, but this is my generalized lazy build. Judge it as you will. You know, I have a little bit of corrosive projection so enemies lose armor. You can throw on anything else over there. Primed sure-footed so I don't get knocked down since I do have 7 Forma in her. Arcane Energized just in case I run out of energy. If you're spamming your 2 a lot, spamming your 3 a lot, it really depends, but it's not necessary. Again, this is Warframe. Always build for however you love. Just do damage, right? Yeah. Molt Augmented for more strength, right? So we have Archon Stretch. Electricity damage restores 2 energies over 5 seconds. I believe that does properly work with your first ability. That's why I chucked that on. I have Fused Reservoir because I'm lazy, okay? And I just don't want to throw down a lot of reservoirs. I have Archon Intensify because ability strength, but restoring health with abilities grants 30% ability strength for 10 seconds. I think the weird caveat to this is the ally actually has to be lower health, and this has to activate on them in order for this to work. So sometimes you'll have some ability strength boosting, sometimes you won't. It's finicky like that. I have Archon Vitality. This one's more not necessary if you plan to throw off Soul Gate anyways, right? Because status effects from abilities deal heat damage apply twice. I like using Soul Gate sometimes, so I keep it on. I might have a secondary build where I chucked off Fused Reservoir, yeah, for Blind Rage. And then I have this build where nothing's real, but, you know, that's there. Primed Flow, just so I can have more energy, you know, pure quality of life. Swap that off if you don't want it. Critical Surge. Breach Surge Augment. Teleporting to a reservoir costs 50% energy and grants 10% critical chance to primary weapon per meter traveled for 9 seconds. Maximum 250% critical chance. So like I said, I really like Wisp as a general strong weapons platforming Warframe. I also have Primed Continuity for duration, so you can use your abilities less restrictively. And then Adaptation. This one's purely because I'm lazy again. I build for how I like to play and how lazy I am. I think a lot of Warframe players are weird about builds and don't play or like don't understand that people play games differently. I have this on because I forget to use my Will-O-Wisp to be invincible half the time, and it just makes it so I don't die as easily, right? And then usually by the time I realize I'm almost dead, I either spam out my second ability, or I remember to throw on Reservoirs again, because usually what happens is either I haven't revisited my Reservoirs for a while, and I haven't used my second ability to be invincible for a while. So adaptation works well, especially because you have high health sometimes with your first ability. But it's 50-50. It's just so I maybe die a little bit less. You can also throw on Rolling Guard. You don't need to use adaptation even, and you can just throw on more strength, more duration. A blind rage mod would go really well over adaptation here as well, because you already have prime flow. You don't really need 100% efficiency, but it's up to you, right? So that's my usual lazy build. I usually throw on Energize and Molt Augmented, just, you know, more strength there, and then energy replenish. So at the end of the day, the build still does have a lot of strength. It gets up to 250 to 300% when Archon Intensify and Molt Augmented are pretty much maxed out. It gets close to that, and you get like good boosts anyways with a lot of damage off your third ability. So that is your girl Wisp. She just works really well at like generally playing the game. Because if we do this, let's not pause the AI. Let's turn the AI on. If we do this, right, enemies just come at you, but you just remember to smash your second ability. Usually you have your abilities down, so you're getting your energy back. And you just like remember to spam it out once in a while. But again, I'm a lazy player. I build for how I play. Sometimes I forget to hit abilities. Sometimes I'm just like a little goofy goober. So that's why adaptation's on. And because I don't want to throw another Forma over the polarity. But hey, just do whatever you want. This is Warframe. You're a god amongst enemies, essentially, whenever you play the game. Like, look at that. Come on. Look at that shit. You gain so much crit. You do so much damage. I love it. Big fan. Big fan. And then when you properly use your abilities... Sorry. When you properly use your abilities, go boop, 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 boop. Right? We go Breach Surge. Boom. Now we're hitting our red crits because now we properly affected our augment mod. So she's just a really nice lazy weapons platforming frame. Huge fan of her. And I've always loved her general lazy kit because she's a speed frame because of her first ability, right? So I've never been a huge Volt or Gauss player, but I'm more of a Wisp player. And I know some people are probably in the same boat. They don't like the other speed frames as much. They're more of like this type of speed frame player. I keep forgetting where my mode is, and I keep replacing them. So I want to, there we go. And then you just boom, right? Be a lazy Tord Incarnate user. Ah, great. And then, as always, yeah, if you want to replace her fourth ability, you can use the Generals of Nourish or Roar if you're bored. Eclipse if you only want to increase your weapon damage, okay? All of them are good. You can use, yeah, Zataw's Whisper. All of them are good. Legitimately, just do whichever you want, right? I already use a lot of viral with a lot of my guns because I build pretty lazily. So I throw viral heat a lot of the time, right? So I don't really care to use Nourish. I like Zataw's Whisper. Void damage, void buffs are pretty cool. But, you know, Nourish is still probably one of the stronger ones and most used, I would say. But Roar is also nice because it boosts abilities. Either way, choose whichever Helminth ability you want with Wisp, but we're gonna go take her out to, let's run some Warframe 1999, kill some enemies so you can get a good look at her kit. And again, I don't even have like my Archon Shards maxed out on her, and I love my lazy build on her, so judge it as you will. So now that we're actually chilling over here in Hulvania, I'll show off how Wisp works a little bit. So she is essentially a weapons platforming frame, right? So no matter what, as long as you're remembering to shoot off your weapons, you're probably good to go. And now with my huge like Breach Surge crits, now you're hitting like lazy red crits with the Torrid. Ah, she's a lovely frame like that. But like that's her kit. You can always do your fourth ability, but like as you can see, once you hit Steel Path, a lot of my fourth ability damage, even though it's glowingly still killing enemies because they're like healthy enemies, it takes a lot of time. And the value just isn't there compared to shooting with weapons. And that's why it's totally probably a good idea to Helminth off your fourth ability over anything. There is also an augment mod for Wisp's fourth ability, if you didn't know, and it makes it so your fourth ability shoots a radiation heat beam and does an AoE for like a handful of seconds around it, so it puts down a little radiation zone, and that's a strong augment mod. I don't use it a ton, but I did mess around with it at some point, so if you do want to use her fourth ability more, that might be a pretty decent, viable alternative if you want to throw in an augment mod. The issue is, her fourth ability still isn't like amazing. You can still helmet it off. She's still strong, but like it uses up a whole mod slot, takes away damage, right? So, I don't know. I already am using a really careful build because I barely even have strong increase mods on, right? Because my base strength is pretty low. So I'm already using like a safe build. I don't know. It's always up to you though. Never like take Warframe or anything like that too seriously. At the end of the day, it's just a video game. As long as you're having fun, who cares? But yeah, damage off Wisp, no matter what, still gonna be pretty insane. I just, I hate how annoying it can be to teleport over to my little thing of things. Either way, everybody, that, as of right now, is Wisp. She is, again, returning to Warframe via Prime Resurgence in a handful of days, Thursday. So I just thought it'd be a good idea to chat about her. I might make a Hildren video for Wednesday, but I'm not a huge Hildren player, so I've just always been way more of a Wisp player. So yeah, let me know what you think of Wisp, if you actually play her a lot, if you don't, or if you've come to the conclusion that she is she's just clearly the best frame, and anyone who says otherwise is wrong. So yeah, let me know, everyone. And if you want to support the channel, feel free to subscribe, check out the socials, you know, like, comment, and you can also use Epic Games creator code Pupsker if you ever buy anything on the Epic Games Store, as I am an Epic partner. So thanks, everyone. Cheers.